Hey everybody, it's Busy the Little Bee. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are catching up with Breezy. I missed this a couple weeks ago. She did this recovery stream where she pretty much monetized her addiction story for the millionth time. She claimed that it was going to be a meeting where she had other people come up on panel and share their story, but no one did that. So it turned into a repeat of many of her videos telling her stories about what her addiction looked like and the things that she went through. So in my opinion, she is not one who should be giving recovery advice. I don't think that she is necessarily the one that I would go to for addiction help or advice on getting and staying sober. Just because you've been through it does not mean that you are qualified to help others, and that's what I think Breezy needs to realize. She is not an addiction counselor. She is not qualified, and yet she is trying to be in that role for others, and that is not a good look. As she says in this stream, someone comes in and trolls, and she says, it's not a good look. Well, it's not a good look to be giving advice that you should be taking yourself. And a lot of the things she says are really hypocritical. So let's go ahead and get into the clips.
A lot of what I speak on, I have some sort of experience with, such as addiction. Hey Tiggs, good to see you. So I thought I'd share a little bit of my story. If anybody wanted to come up and share theirs, maybe they can come on for 5 minutes. I'll set a timer because if a bunch of people want to come up, I want to be able to let everybody share. It's kind of like a meeting, but an unofficial meeting. There's no really the only rules are don't judge, don't be rude to anybody speaking. I would love for people not to, leave whatever you hear, leave it here, if that makes sense. I would say by 24, I became a full-blown alcoholic. I was bad by 24, and I can figure the turning point in, I had gotten a DUI at 21, and it was like a slap on the wrist. I'm not proud of this, by the way, but I'm 40 now. I've changed my ways, but I want to be very transparent. It was like a slap on the wrist, and I didn't learn my lesson. It was like, oh no, I went to jail for a few hours. It didn't scare me, and it should have, and I realized that's not normal, but drinking and partying was still way too important for me to care about anyone else. I think by 23, I had gotten my second one, which was my last DUI. I ended up getting sentenced to 4 days in jail, but I didn't spend that. I spent a night. I had a really good childhood. I had amazing grandparents. I had an amazing, who I call dad now, but he came into my life when I was 2, married my mom at 4, so he's dad. They gave me everything in the world. I never wanted for anything, but I just always felt they were very strict, and I always felt like I was in trouble for something, and I always felt like God was angry at me. I truly think the reason why I became so addicted so fast to so many different things was I was sheltered my whole life.
Holy crap.
Drinking. So I was pretty good during high school, except for I was a brat. I don't think I wasn't a party girl or anything. I had sipped a wine cooler here and there, but it was never really, a big thing until I turned 21. For some reason, when I turned 21, I felt like this is my time to shine. And I remember going to get margaritas for my birthday night.
Party time.
I had a really good job, by the way, you guys. I was working at a specialty vet. I worked with internal medicine, also oncology, and I also worked the emergency shift. I had a very good paying job. I was good at what I did. But I had developed a pretty bad habit. So I remember I had to go serve my sentence. I had to call out for work. I said somebody died in my family, which is horrible. Don't ever do that, but I did that.
I did that.
I met my baby daddy while I was in San Pedro. He had a million years sober at the time. Now he has 17. It seemed like a million years to me, at least. He really tried to help me, but I just couldn't be helped. When I was sober, things were really good. When I wasn't sober, obviously things were really bad. I think my drinking made him fed up in a lot of ways, and he could have been a lot nicer to me, and he probably could have helped a little bit more, but I think there's only so much a person can take. So I have a tiny little bit, not even a resentment. I have some kind of you could have, I don't know, we had a child together, you could have been nicer. But one day he picked up my daughter out of my arms and took her to his mom's and said, until you get better, F this. And we had to get the courts involved. I had to sign over rights, and I could have fought it. I could have got temporarily sober and fought it. I could have fought him. But I signed that paperwork, and I said, okay. And I said, I need a year. I sat down with them. I need a year. I need help. And I went through rehab. I went through sober living, and then I got out and I relapsed, and then I had to pretty much do everything all over again. When my daughter was a baby and everything was going on, and
sometimes she would be kept from me. I'm like, I'm never gonna see her again, so what's the point?
I fell off a balcony 40 feet off onto my head. The only reason I survived was because I was drunk. And I even tried to leave the hospital that night. I tried to sign an AMA against medical advice, and they told me if I left, I was gonna die. I had a ruptured spleen. I always get this part confused. A bruised something and a ruptured spleen. Either it was a bruised spleen and a ruptured something, but this is how bad my injuries were. Like my arms are so big now, a little bit deformed because I really ruined them on that fall. They were black and blue, and like, so the skin became weak. That's why it's like, even if I work out my arms, it's like hard to lose weight in this area. I had a fractured neck. I bit through my tongue. Eventually, I think enough bad things happened in San Pedro. I started hanging out at places, we joked about Natter's house being like the crack that I was hanging out in real places like that. We made a baby, and we made a beautiful baby, and we were really trying to play house there for a while, but I wasn't ready to settle down and be a wife or a mom. I started having very bad things besides that happening to me. I had a stroke. I had seizures. One of the worst seizures I had put me in ICU for 2 weeks, not doing too much better. So like, maybe they're hurting and hurt people. But I know when people are lying, and I know when people are manipulating because I've done it all. I could see when people are clearly not sober or clean and they're lying and say that they are. I can see addiction talking. I could just see it all. I've done it all. I've been through it all. So I usually just talk on experience, and yeah, I don't know. The trolls in here, I just want to say, like, this says more about you than it does about me. Like, you can try and hurt me, but like, it's not a very good look to come into a meeting where someone's trying to tell their life story and you just do that. Like, it's not a good look, and you should probably find a hobby. I wake up in the morning not wondering what the hell I did the night before. I've stayed quiet too long, and if I have to say everybody one by one, and if I have to show everybody my proof, I will, but it's going to blow up a lot of people's lives. And it's going to blow up a lot of people's channels, so make sure you're ready for that. House of Hannibal, I'm talking to you right now.
A lie detector determined that was a lie.
And many of those people who are dragging me and hating on me are drinking every day during their streams, or doing whatever every day. Like, they're suffering from addiction too. So like, I get it. When I was in addiction, I hated sober people. I believe in you. You can do this. If I can change my life, I promise you, you can too. And if you have a feeling, if anybody's struggling right now and they feel like relapsing, like, reach out to me. I'm not a professional. I just know what works for me, what hasn't worked before. I can promise you staying busy is really good for you if you're struggling right now. I'd love to do this every Wednesday. I think it was helpful. Not only to me, hopefully I help somebody out there. My block finger is just very heavy today. I think the best place is a closed group away from YouTube. We can do Zoom. If there's like a select few people that want to do like a Zoom call, we can do that. Maybe set it up on Zoom. Should you be taking your baby to a liquor store run? This is a big reason why I don't do AA and stuff like that. He was very well known. And at first I thought being in that sober living, like, it was cool because he was paying attention to me. And like, if I didn't have cigarettes, he bought me cigarettes. One time he took me on a motorcycle ride, and like, I thought it was cool. Like, I don't know why. I think my brain was so broken and I couldn't see the signs that this much older man shouldn't have been doing that to somebody just trying to get sober, especially a woman. He shouldn't do that to anybody, but you know what I mean? Like, you hear about in the meetings how you need to be careful of these kinds of things. Well, one of the times he took me on a motorcycle ride, he did something to me and I had to go to court. It was a whole thing. Like, nobody believed me. All these people like showed up on his side of the courtroom, and I had like my mom sitting next to me. It was very traumatic. And nobody believed me. But then as soon as I dropped the case, because I was being so bullied about it, like, it was so horrible, like death threats and everything. All these women ended up coming out about him. He attacked a 16-year-old walking down the street, and he actually got a lot of time in jail for that. I think right now, from what I heard, he's on Skid Row. But
on a personal note, both of my parents lost their lives to addiction very young, so I am highly sensitive to recovery and addiction, and that's probably one of the main reasons Breezy drives me so crazy, is because she is not the picture of sobriety and recovery and a success story, but yet she puts herself out there as one. She has not said a word about this dream job she supposedly got that we haven't heard a peep about since she had the interview and got it in the same day. And you know what I mean? So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're not subscribed yet, please do. And I will see you in the next video.